Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Narrative Off the Cuff with Elite News and Darryl Blair. Well, we're past the presidential inauguration for Donald Trump, and we have passed the date of the MLK celebration for Dr. Martin Luther King. We are doing symbolic celebrations, but we're not doing movement-oriented things with regards to our existence here. And when I speak of existence, I'm talking about African Americans. We have so been surpassed by the times and certainly by other ethnicities. Not that I'm being discriminate or anything of that nature, but I believe we've lost touch. It used to be that when we empowered someone to speak for us and carry our voice, that we poured into them and that they listened to us and they let that level pour into them, that they would go forward with a certain dialogue for the people, whether it's African American, Hispanic, or whatever. But I'm going to talk to you about some things that are very, very concerning. And if you're sitting there, you're viewing, that tells me that you're civic minded, that you're engaged, that you have an investment, you have skins on the wall with regards to our everyday living. Not that you're just doing well, that those around you are doing well. Who wants to be a wealthy person in an impoverished society? Wealthy by virtue of empowerment or engagement, wealthy by virtue of money, and then being in an impoverished society. It's like being the big fish in a little pond. It's not enough water for you. And you don't get a chance to spread your wings and express and grow the environment around you. You'll get that sometimes later. But I believe what we've done in our society collectively is we've empowered some of our black notables for greater access for themselves and not a greater platform to attain growth for us. Look at all of these things that we've come through. When you just look at the very essence of an African American and us as minorities in this country, we've come from slavery through Jim Crow, through the Voting Rights Act and DEI and all of those things that they've put before us. And yet we've overcome one obstacle after another. And yet we seem to be stuck on the elected officials, people that we choose to elect to represent us. You know, I want you all to see something, and I think you saw it last week when they showed Obama, who was dialoguing with Trump in a very joking, very kind manner. I would think that there would be no conversations and no dialogue unless it was something that was being spoken for us. But didn't happen, and it's not happening. In 2004, I was privy to go to the Bush inaugurations, and I went because I never experienced it. And so I went to experience it. And what I found was appalling and shocking to me. I called my father back and I said, Dad, I said, you won't believe what I see up here. He said, what do you see, son? I said, Dad, I'm up here. And the very Democrats that get before the cameras and the microphones and speak out against Republicans and this, that, and the other, and Bush and his cabinet and things of that nature. I said, Daddy, they up here taking pictures together. They glad hand and they happy. I say, and the TV cameras aren't really rolling in here. The news cameras aren't really rolling in here. It's just the photographer's cameras. He said, son, they get us all riled up down here at the lower level, at the grassroots level, while they're up there shaking hands and making deals. The tragedy is in this day and age, our elected officials aren't able to count votes and cross the aisle. And it's going to take that. It's going to take that. I want you all to understand that in this day and age, we are against perilous times, but we're only going to face them because we haven't engaged to overcome them. You as a civic-minded citizen and a voting person, you have to call your elected officials' office. That's where the Republicans have us. They will pelt their elected officials' office or those people who run for office to let them know what they want them to stand on, stand for, and move forward. We don't do that. We expect the people just to hear a silent voice or by some means of unspoken virtue that they would just go forward and carry our message. That's not happening. And that's tragic on our behalf. With us being in this city in particular, because all politics start local and spread abroad. We can't talk about people in Congress and in the Senate, in the United States Senate and United States Congress, if we're not talking about people in the city council, on the school board, on the county commissioner's court, things of that nature. If we don't go and have them empowered and then they in turn represent our interests down there, then we don't get no interest as it goes up the ladder. Understand that. Quit electing people because you're familiar with their name and they speak of what they do. Let their work show. The greatest sermon ever preached was not the one that was preached, but the one that was lived. Let their efforts and their diligence show in their movements and the platform moving for you. Now, just as Trump has taken office, recognize something. This is for the individuals who count on the government or somewhat dependent on the government, but you don't act as if you have skins on the wall. Trump 2025 and the 2025 Project 2025 is something that is very real. DEI has already been moved out by virtue of executive order. It was being done in the state of Texas. It's been done in Florida. It's been done in Oklahoma. Any Republican state has removed DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And let me say this. While I'm appalled that they've done it, it doesn't bother our effectiveness with regards to DEI. Those were, in my estimation, this is me, a bunch of alphabet-toed Negroes. Officers of DEI, I'm Vice President of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. They didn't do anything to move the mantle. They didn't want to ruffle no feathers. They didn't do anything. They simply stood there and collected a check, had those titles, and came out into our community and represented themselves as if they were spokespersons for us in a private entity or in a corporate setting. No, they weren't. And so they're not missed. You can't miss what you can't measure. And if someone can call in, email in, or reach out and let me know how DEI was effective for them, please do. But they had no problems removing it because they didn't show that they had a reach into our community or that they connected with us to speak for us. That's a tragedy, man. That's a tragedy. And then for those who are dependent, to keep with the narrative of Project 2025, for those individuals who are government program dependent, you're in trouble, man. You are really, really in trouble. That goes from the senior citizen who's dependent on Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, who've worked, who've poured into the system. If you don't stay on that phone and stay on your elected officials behind, both in your district and other districts representing an issue with regards to you, you're going to get passed by and your programs are going to be taken from you. The platforms are gone. And certainly I say this time and time again, I'm not belittling our sisters and our mothers and our brothers who are dependent on the government system. But if you're getting welfare, Section 8, Medicare, Medicaid, all of that kind of stuff, and you're simply not getting civically involved, you're just going to stand back and let the government bring it to you, the government's going to take it from you. That's what Project 2025 is about. It's about every tub should set on its own bottom. And so what they're going to make you do, if you're an able-bodied individual and you're collecting checks and getting government assistance, they're going to make you prove that you really, 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 really need it. And if you can't, they're going to get you they're going to find a way to get you in some kind of program where you get some kind of trade or some kind of education that you can go and provide for yourself because they're no longer going to do it. And if you're not alarmed for yourself, good riddance to you. But I can tell you this, homelessness and hunger is going to go up in our society. You're going to see it. This is for the corporate leaders in America. If you think that you have some say-so with your city council members, your school board members, your county elected officials, your judges, no, you don't. You better become a part of some corporation. Go look at their donors for their campaigns. Those are corporations that have skins in the game, who are stakeholders for the greater good. And they speak, and those elected officials speak for them. They don't necessarily speak for you, because you're not echoing your voice to them. So this is what's going to happen with a Trump administration, and it's going to trickle down, whether you're Republican or Democrat, it's going to trickle down. And then I want to get to the issue of ethnic politics. What do you expect as African Americans in the city of Dallas or Dallas County at large, when there's a 42% of the population Hispanic, 23% of the population is Caucasian, 26% I'd rather, and then 23% of the population is African American, and we're dwindling more and more. There are those of us who grew up in the inner city, parents had homes, grandparents had homes, we don't want them, we sell them, and then we want to get mad about gentrification. We move to the suburbs where we have even less of a voice, to the Midlothians, the Mansfields, the Red Oaks, We don't have a voice. But you want to go out there and you want to stand alone. And I can tell you this, no man's an island. As business owners, as people who are part of corporate America, you're about to start being chiseled down. And it's real tragic. We have to, in essence, become civically minded and civically involved. And we have to hold our elected officials accountable. I might be screaming into the mic, but it may be low tone to you. And if it's low tone, you'll feel it somewhere along the line. When you go to work and you got a pink slip, you go to the bank and checks start bouncing, or better yet, you're not getting that draft from your job because you don't have it anymore. You can't meet that mortgage. You can't keep them kids in school. You can't maintain your lifestyle because you have not invested civically into society, and you made what you know because you know better, you did better. When you know better, you do better. When you know better, you do better. You're supposed to make it better for the greater good. You're not doing it. Our elected officials are not doing it. And we're not holding the counter or pushing the gas on them. We have to move the mantle on this one. That's real tragic. We, as a people, have to be more diligent by virtue of engagement, movement, and activity. Blacks are being surpassed. And it's not Hispanics' fault or Caucasians' fault. It's our fault because we're not activating what it is that we have right before us. We have the most visible leadership in the ninth largest city in America, and yet we can't see it moving. And when you see improvement taking place in your community, it's not for you. It's for the next citizens that come along in the city's 5-year plan, 10-year plan, 15-year plan, and 20-year plan. You're not a part of it. You can see it just for those individuals in District 7 in South Dallas with Fair Park. They're laying all that out not for those kids to go over there and graffiti. They're laying it out for Caucasians to move back into the inner city and have the comfort of parks and whatnot and rolling hills. It's not happening for you. They're going to constantly put new homes over there to raise the tax base and for you to be priced out for those who are trying to hold on to grandmama's and granddaddy's house and mama's house who had it over in South Dallas. Most of you don't want to stay there no way. You want to move out to Lancaster and Midlothian again and Red Oak and DeSoto. You want to go show. You don't even go back to show your heritage and your lineage where you come from. And that's another tragedy in our society. Kids don't know their family history. I'm every day repeating to my grandkids, my kids, and my great-grandkids the legacy of my father and my mother, my grandfather, my grandmother, and letting them understand what they poured into society and what society leveled back to them, but more importantly, what they left on society. My father often said, Darryl, any man that builds a monument to himself, it dies with him. But if he builds a monument to people, it'll go on forever. Look at the monuments that are built and look at the monuments you support. As I come to a close, I certainly want you to recognize that election season is coming upon us with the city council and other seats, judgeships that are coming up. And I'm sitting up looking on Facebook and looking at judges and whatnot who are posted on there 10 years of service to the state of Texas. Not one of the 20 judges or the 20 elected officials who've talked about the years of service that they've provided to the state of Texas, not one said to the years of service that I provided to our community and to our citizens, and the fairness and equality that I've doled out judgments and punishments with regards to our community. None of them recognize that, but they be on Facebook at parties and at soirees. It's real. You have to look at this and hold them accountable. And if some of y'all want to call me on it, that's fine. I have no problem with it. But the city council races are coming up and you got to elect people who are running for office. They'll repeat office how do I put this? They're repeat candidates for office. And yet nothing in their resume or the body of work or the sweat of their brow or their work, the body of work has changed or grown. They're just simply running because they can fill out all the paperwork and get somebody to write a check for them that they can run a campaign. Start finding people who do the work, who've done the work, and who have sweat equity. Not because we can get a seat at the table, but because we're there by virtue of sweat equity and productivity. That's what we need to work on, and always challenge them about your concerns as opposed to what they're telling you they can do for you. They don't know you from an apple in Fiesta. So you need to be able to recognize that. We're coming upon this election season, and we really have to vet and go over those individuals who are running for public office. So with that being said, we have to understand the dynamics there. Finally, I want to be able to recognize some people and some things that are going on in our near future. February 3rd, I'm so proud and I'm overwhelmed and elated to announce that there's the February 3rd, the ribbon cutting ceremony at 2 p.m. for the William Skinny Legs Blair baseball field behind Dr. Frederick Todd Middle School on Ledbetter. That's at 2 p.m. February 3rd. We're doing a ribbon cutting ceremony. We're going to have a glorious time, and we're going to continue to support things in our community and certainly lay out the legacy of my father, who I am so fortunate to be able to put another brick in the foundation that he's poured. February 8th, we have the NAACP banquet and soiree, and I'm saying that as a personal, from a personal angle and perspective, because I'm being recognized and honored as one of the honorees. Thank you very much, Dr. Sharon Middlebrooks and the NAACP of Dallas. Then on February 21st, there is the 7th Annual Living Legends Scholarship Banquet that takes place on February 21st at the Statler Hotel, downtown Dallas, where, again, yours truly is being recognized and honored for the work that we've done. And let me tell you, before I go to this final one, that while I'm grateful for the honors and I'm appreciative, my father told me, never do the work for somebody to pat you on your back. Do the work that you could selfishly feel good that you made it better. That because you know better, you do better. And because you know better and you did better, Darryl, you made it better for the greater good. That is my work. That will continue to be my work. I will never rest on my laurels. I will always be true to making sure that there is a voice from the community. That's what the Elite News is. It's a voice for the community. And if you are too lazy or too docile to write in and send your articles and your pictures and talk about things in the community and make it the community paper that it is, shame on you, because the column space is there for you and our phone number is available, and I'm always available to talk and work with and put things together to make our communities and our society better for us. That's the Elite News, the people's newspaper, dedicated to nothing but the truth, to tell it like it is. That's right. The spoken word is like there, but what? The printed word is always there. Finally, I want to be able to recognize the 50th annual. That's right. The golden anniversary. Excuse me. Let me get that right. Tongue twister. The golden anniversary of the Elite News Awards night. Something my father started 50 years ago. And he simply wanted to acknowledge and highlight unsung heroes in our community, history makers, and people who are dream makers in our community and our society. And so we've continued that for 50 years. And this year is no less a splendid splendid cast of individuals for the audience to come out and support. It's a free event, and then we even feed afterwards. So you don't even have to RSVP. You just show up. February 28th, 7 p.m. That's the last Friday in February, Black History Month. 7 p.m., Carver Heights Missionary Baptist Church, 2511 East Ledbetter. Or you can call the Elite News or go on to EliteNewsDallas.com and get all of your details to see who we're recognizing and honoring. Just come out, pat them on the back, let them see that you support them in light of the office that they serve, that you see them at work, but you see them in the honor that's being bestowed upon them. And then I want to be very, very careful to thank some sponsors as we come to a close. I want to thank you, Lorenzo Brown over at the Lorenzo Brown Law Firm. I want to thank you, Stephen Pipkins at the Pipkins Law Firm. Yeah, there's a lot of lawyers around here, partner. You need them at the newspaper. I want to thank Larry Taylor with Taylor Law Firm and Cochran Law Firm of Texas. Certainly want to thank Anthony Farmer over at the Farmers Law Group. I'm grateful for you. And I want to thank Bishop Gerald Witherall over there at Eternal Rest Funeral Home, who's been a diligent supporter. And, man, I can't miss my big brother. My big brother, not substitute, but my big brother stand in, my big brother stand up. None other than Maurice Jones over at Dallas Area Patrol and Protective Services, better known as DAPS, Chief Maurice Jones. Man, I want to thank you all. I want to thank you all so much. And I want you to be aware as we come to a close about the letter that Opal Lee wrote to President Trump about continuing the legacy of Juneteenth celebration and recognizing the work of African Americans in this country to not wipe out its history or its lineage, but continue to move it forward and grow it. I'm grateful. I'm grateful. I'm grateful. And until next time, you know what I want you to do. it on your mind. God bless and God keep is my prayer.